For the first time in this podcast's history, we preview a playoff game. The Arizona Cardinals take on the Los Angeles Rams tonight, SoFi Stadium. It's going down, a battle of NFC West teams. It's the grudge match. They each have a victory, and to the rescue for the Arizona Cardinals defense, Justin James Watt. He's coming to play for the Arizona Cardinals. He's back, baby. We're breaking it down. Full preview plus players of the game. It's Alex, and it's Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time to rise up, Red Sea, Locked On Cardinals, part of your Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Bo Brock, Alex Clancy hanging out with you. Full preview episode right here. Free and available on all platforms, including our YouTube channel. Check it out, subscribe. You'll get all that great daily content from Alex and myself. It goes beyond. If the Cardinals, for some reason, they don't win on Monday night, we're going to continue throughout the week breaking down things, what went wrong. We'll start to preview the offseason. We'll get into some mock drafts, but not so fast. J.J. Watt officially going to be back into the Arizona Cardinals roster just in time for their Wildcard weekend showdown with the Los Angeles Rams. What that's really going to mean for this defense that needs to look more like it did in Week 4 when J.J. Watt was there than it did in, Week 14 on Monday Night Football, where they lost that contest to Matthew Stafford and crew. We really appreciate you making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day. Thank you so much. Follow along on Twitter at LockedOnAZCards, at Clancy's Corner, and at Bob Brock to follow me, Bo Brock. Today we observe, of course, the life and the work of Martin Luther King, MLK Day. Very important day each and every year. If you're off, well, enjoy the day off. And if you're working, we're very thankful for you to turn us on during work because, of course, you got to get ready for this game. Alex, JJ poked a little fun at our guy Cam Cox from Channel 12 News, because he asked the question about if he's going to play Sunday or not. And JJ said, no, I'm not playing Sunday, but I am playing Monday. Paraphrase a little bit. What is reinserting Justin James Watt back into this defensive lineup do for the Cardinals against the Rams?
I mean, there's a couple things. When the Cardinals signed him, there was, this chance that he wasn't going to play all 17 weeks, whether it be load management or nagging injuries or whatever. What happened was his arm fell off, and he decided to play the rest of the game against Houston, and he's made it his goal to come back if the Cardinals were to make the playoffs, to play in the playoff game, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Now, when they signed him for the amount of money that they did, it wasn't just on the field stuff. And we talked about this early on. It was leadership. It was turning a corner. It was making this team a grown-up organization. And that's what he did. And I always reference to Zaven Collins rolling down the fairway because he forgot J.J. Watt's breakfast when they were supposed to play golf together. The rookie hazing started, and J.J. Watt became a leader almost immediately with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, when he plays on Monday night, the run defense is going to have an uptick just because he's there. I don't know if that means that the play calling is going to be different from Sean McVay at all, or, if they're actually going to see a step forward with the run defense, number one. Number two, this is going to make the linebackers' job a lot easier because J.J. Watt is on the field, and he's going to need to get the respect from the opposing offensive line. And that's something we haven't seen from one side of the line since he's been gone. So I think it should not just his numbers are something that need to be looked at. It's how well is Isaiah Simmons get to the quarterback? Is Zaven Collins going to be rushing the quarterback? Marcus Golden? That's what we're going to see. And also the secondary job should be a little bit easier because, again, the scheme has to be somewhat made offensively around J.J. Watt by the Rams.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, what they would need to do and what they're able to do with J.J. Watt back in the lineup is where they had all the early success as a defensive unit on third down, you're just shutting teams down on fourth down, and the few times that they would go for it, it was all when he was in the lineup, and it all ended when his arm absolutely exploded. I mean, the sources said that he tore his labrum, his bicep, his rotator cuff, and then somehow, some way, he gets a bionic arm. I have no idea what goes into that, but he's going to be back, and you got to assume that he's also going to be highly functioning as he always is, and he's going to add that morale boost because the Arizona Cardinals, it seemed like each and every week that he was gone, even though he was still there, in spirit, to sound lame, but also be on the sidelines, and he's running to the end zone to celebrate a turnover for the Cardinals in a couple games. They fell off defensively. It felt like each and every week he was further removed from the lineup, and it's just going to be a huge boost. And like just coming out onto the field, they're going to just have an extra energy because that team is just going to feed off a guy like Watt. They are. It's going to be something that's going to energize this group that absolutely needs energy. It's like, how do you kind of buck a 4 out of 5 game trend where you lose those games? You put a stud player back in your lineup like JJ Watt. It makes things a lot easier. Your mic's off.
You have this whole hubbub about Von Miller getting acquired by the Rams and how JJ Watt's old. JJ Watt's 4 days older than Von Miller. Okay, and he's playing at a much higher level this year before he got hurt than Von Miller was. So even if those two cancel each other out scheme-wise on the opposing side, that's a step forward that the Cardinals haven't had over the last handful of weeks. And you're right. I mean, it's when you see JJ Watt going full on, Hulk before the game starts at SoFi, there's going to be a lot of Cardinals fans there. There's going to be a lot of Cardinals fans there, and that's going to be as close to a home game as you can get on the road in a playoff game because, Rams fans aren't as rabid as other fans in the NFL. Like, this is all setting the stage for the Cardinals having the best possible chance to win with DeAndre Hopkins still out. Yeah. Marco Wilson's trending back to play. James Conner is going to be a game-time decision, but Chase Edmonds is going to play. Like, they're going to have their ducks in a row, and they just have to go and win a football game.
Yeah, we had a little scare about Isaiah Simmons. He missed practice a couple days ago, back at practice to wrap up the week. So exciting there. And I think of, when you think about where they were successful in week 4, and as far as getting Matthew Stafford off his spot, I even remember a play where Isaiah Simmons came up the gut and nearly got a sack of Matthew Stafford. He got a bad call on him, but Matthew Stafford sent an errant throw that would have been Marco Wilson's first pick of his career, and it was waved off. But it's what our guy Travis Rogers told us about, that interior pressure is going to be so important. And when you've got one of the guys that can create the most interior pressure in the last decade in the NFL, and JJ Watt, I mean, it's exciting for the Arizona Cardinals because they can get back to the brand of defense that made them so successful early on.
Yeah, I mean, and just to put a button on this, like Matt Stafford, he's skittish. We've seen what happened. And if you have Big 99 running at you or batting down balls, which is what he's still so great at the line of scrimmage, like anything to make Matthew Stafford uncomfortable and not being able to river dance in the backfield, that's what you want. And JJ Watt adds to that.
He adds to that. And the Arizona Cardinals can get a big win. And I know that's getting too far ahead of ourselves, but the Rams will be in shambles. Like, this fan base will cannibalize itself. Like, they won't know what to do because they would finish the season earlier than they did last year with Jared Goff and the John Wolford experience, whatever that was. And because they make this big move and they go nowhere. They didn't improve really anywhere. Sure, they were able to win the division, but I don't know. It would just put this team in a tough spot, and that's always fun to see as well. If you're a Rams hater, just to kind of see this fan base lose its mind because they thought they'd found the missing link. And right now, their biggest probably concern is their quarterback because of how poorly he's played. 9 turnovers in his last 4 games. Let's get more into this matchup. We'll get into the spread of it. We'll make our full predictions by the end of it. But the Arizona Cardinals get J.J. Watt back. It's exciting. It's the first time we're previewing an playoff game here on Locked On Cardinals. We started this podcast. You started in 2017, right, Alex?
Yep.
And then they fell short that season, the last year for BA. And then 2018, we don't like to talk about it. That's when I joined the crew. And then 5 wins.
It's been downhill ever since. For me day.
But it's been a rise as far as this team's concerned. And finally, they're going to play under the bright lights on Monday Night Football, the last game of the playoff weekend, Super Wildcard weekend. Let's get more into the conversation. Let's get into Kyler Murray. Let's get into this offense, what they can do, and really start to preview the matchups in this game. It's Locked On Cardinals. Follow along on Twitter at Locked On AZ Cards, at Clancy's Corner, at Bob Rack. And what's a better pregame snack? Like, if you're headed out to Glendale, if you're headed out to the great lawn and you're going to tailgate and you're stuck in traffic, I got a little secret weapon that will keep you nourished during that drive and ready to tailgate like the best of them. It's Built Bar. If you've got a New Year's resolution to eat healthier, to get in shape, well, Built Bar can be your secret weapon as well. It's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. It's actually better tasting than most candy bars out there and easier to stick to your resolution. Most Built Bars, they contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams net carbs, and 17 grams of muscle-packing protein in most bars, maybe even more so in some of them. Compare that to a candy bar, which is like 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Go to the website. Save yourself some cash in the new year. Go to Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your next order. Promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.